The employment crisis in recent times has revealed a scenario that goes far beyond the simple statistics released by the government. Recently, there was a high-profile announcement about the creation of 353,000 new jobs in April, a figure that initially seemed promising and could suggest relief for many struggling to find work. However, this information was quietly corrected, which left a trail of confusion and distrust. When a government makes such an abrupt and discreet correction, it is inevitable that it will raise questions about the accuracy of the information provided and the competence of the institutions responsible for this data. This correction is not a mere detail. It is a reflection of the increasingly complicated reality of the labor market. The truth behind the numbers is much more complex than the reports might suggest. In many cases, the data presented does not capture the nuances of workers' actual experiences. For example, there is a record increase in the number of Americans who are juggling multiple jobs, often taking on multiple jobs at once to meet their basic needs. In addition, a growing number of workers are finding themselves needing to take on full-time jobs, but even then, these positions may not provide the stability or well-being they desire. This phenomenon of job hoarding and the need to take on multiple roles not only reveals a crisis in the quality of available jobs, but also points to a situation in which the labor market is fragmented and overloaded. Many workers are choosing to hold multiple jobs as a way to compensate for the lack of job security and often insufficient wages of a single job. This not only increases stress and physical and mental strain, but may also indicate a structural failure in the labor market that is failing to create enough quality jobs to meet the demands of the workforce. Furthermore, the fact that these numbers may not accurately reflect the real situation also suggests that statistics can be manipulated or interpreted in ways that create a more optimistic impression than reality warrants. This discrepancy between official information and the lived experience of workers can lead to distrust and frustration. People begin to question the veracity of the statistics and the effectiveness of the policies being implemented. The current labor market is therefore a reflection of a system that is undergoing a series of challenges and changes. Job creation can be an important part of the solution, but the quality of those jobs, job security, and the ability to meet workers' basic needs are issues that need to be addressed seriously. Without a holistic approach that considers not only the quantity of jobs, but also the quality and suitability of those jobs for workers' lives, the employment crisis will continue to be a significant problem. The discrepancy between the statistics reported and the reality experienced by workers highlights the need for a deeper and more honest analysis of the labor market. To truly improve employability, it is essential that policies and measures adopted are based on accurate data and reflect the complex reality faced by many Americans. Only by understanding the true nature of the challenges faced by workers will it be possible to create effective and sustainable solutions. During the pandemic, many were thrilled by the image of the U.S. economy reaching an all-time high. American savings reached an impressive $2.1 trillion, and there was a notable reduction in debt. It seemed like a financial golden age, where citizens were getting their finances under control, building up savings, and easing their financial responsibilities. However, the current reality reveals a very different and worrying narrative. Since the peak of this period of savings, a dramatic shift has occurred. Since August 2021, American household savings have begun to drain at an alarming rate. The rate of decline is staggering, with an estimated monthly decline of between $70 billion and $72 billion. This demonstrates an accelerating depletion of previously robust financial reserves. What once seemed like a safe and growing fund is now rapidly depleting, reflecting a shift in household economic behavior and needs. At the same time, credit card debt, which had previously been a point of moderate concern, has exploded from $330 billion to a staggering record high of $1.1 trillion. This significant increase in debt not only highlights a growing pattern of spending, but also a growing reliance on credit, which could be a sign that citizens are turning to less sustainable financial means to meet their daily expenses. Credit card debt is often associated with high interest rates and can create a cycle of debt that is difficult to break, especially when savings are dwindling. Additionally, the savings rate, which was 3% at the height of the savings period, has fallen to just 1.2%. This sharp drop not only indicates a reduction in the amount of money Americans are setting aside for the future, but also suggests that many are living more for the present and possibly struggling to balance their day-to-day finances. With less money saved, families may be more vulnerable to financial crises and unexpected events, making it harder to handle emergencies or investment opportunities. This financial outlook for the U.S. is not only a reflection of changing spending habits, but also an indicator of the economic strains many are facing. The combination of rapidly declining savings and record increases in credit card debt suggests an uneven economic recovery and ongoing challenges for many Americans. The situation highlights the importance of careful financial management and sound planning, especially in times of economic uncertainty and change. The impact of Americans' spending spree and the looming crisis are topics that reveal the complexity of the current economic situation. In the wake of the pandemic, many Americans have embarked on a spending spree, a behavior driven by a desire to make up for lost time and a sense of deprivation. However, this drive has led to a depletion of savings, which in turn is creating a series of economic problems. During the pandemic, the U.S. economy was in a period of great instability, with severe restrictions and widespread uncertainty. Many people were forced to save money due to business closures and job losses. However, as restrictions began to ease and spending opportunities returned, there was a surge in consumer spending. With a combination of stimulus checks, accumulated savings, and a sense of relief, people began to spend lavishly. This behavior, initially seen as a sign of economic recovery, quickly revealed its negative consequences. Unbridled spending caused many individuals to deplete their savings at an alarming rate. Impulsive purchases and short-term investments, driven by the desire to make up for lost time, reflected a greater need for immediate gratification, but also left many financially unprotected. Now, with less money set aside and fewer savings to fall back on, many Americans are facing a harsh reality. Their lack of financial reserves is making them vulnerable to even the slightest change in the economy, which can lead to a cycle of debt and financial hardship. This situation can trigger a phenomenon known as liquidation selling. Without enough cash, people may start liquidating assets to cover their expenses, which can result in a sharp drop in demand for goods and real estate. Consumers' ability to maintain their spending levels is being depleted, which could have a direct impact on the job market and the economy as a whole. With less money available to spend, businesses could face a drop in demand for their products and services. This could lead to staff cuts and a slowdown in economic growth. The lack of consumption could also negatively impact industries that rely heavily on consumer spending, such as retail and real estate construction. The impending crisis is compounded by the combination of low savings and high spending. Without adequate financial buffers, people's ability to weather emergencies or maintain a stable lifestyle is compromised. This could result in increased defaults and broader economic hardship, affecting the financial health of many families and the economic stability of the country as a whole. The current landscape is a complex mix of economic drivers and unintended consequences. The rampant spending that seemed to be a path to economic recovery is revealing its own fragilities. As spending capacity shrinks and the economy faces challenges, it is crucial that individuals and public policymakers focus on long-term strategies to ensure a sustainable recovery and protect financial stability in the future. The impact of credit and credit card debt, as well as the increasing use of buy platforms now, pay later, BNPL, has proven to be a significant factor in the deterioration of the financial health of many consumers. In a world where access to credit is increasingly easy, we are seeing how these tools, which are often presented as practical and quick solutions, end up becoming financial traps in disguise. Credit cards, for example, offer an alluring flexibility. They allow consumers to make purchases and pay for them over time, often with a credit limit that can be increased based on usage history. However, this flexibility can quickly turn into a problem when consumers fail to properly manage their spending. Credit card interest rates are notoriously high, and unpaid balances at the end of each month can pile up, creating a snowball of debt that is difficult to control. Additionally, the use of BNPL platforms, which allow consumers to purchase products and pay for them in installments, has become a common practice. The appeal of these platforms is clear. The promise of purchasing goods immediately without having to pay for everything at once. However, the reality is that this convenience can lead to an accumulation of debt that is not fully visible to credit agencies. Consumers often do not realize the magnitude of their financial obligations because these debts are not reported in the same way as traditional credit card balances. This lack of transparency on BNPL platforms is obscuring the true picture of consumers' financial health. As a result, economists and financial analysts are struggling to understand spending behavior and the true debt burdens faced by households. The problem is even more serious when you consider that a significant percentage of users of these platforms are facing financial difficulties. Studies indicate that around 43% of BNPL users are behind on their payments, while 28% of them are in default on other debts due to their use of these platforms. This scenario reveals a dangerous cycle. Easy access to credit combined with a lack of transparency and poor management of personal finances can lead to an exponential increase in debt. The consequences of this behavior are not limited to personal financial stress. They have a broader impact on the economy, affecting consumers' financial stability and ability to recover. It is crucial that consumers are cautious and aware when using credit and BNPL platforms. Understanding the terms and conditions, being aware of interest rates and the implications of late payments is key to preventing these tools from becoming unsustainable financial burdens. Financial education and a proactive approach to managing personal finances can help mitigate the risks associated with excessive credit use and promote more robust and sustainable financial health. The phantom debt crisis is becoming a growing and alarming concern in today's financial landscape, driven by the exponential growth of buy now, pay later BNPL. These platforms have become incredibly popular, offering consumers a seemingly convenient way to purchase products and services immediately and pay for them in installments over time. However, this convenience hides a serious problem: a lack of transparency and a distortion of consumers' true financial situation. The big draw of BNPL platforms is their promise of easy and immediate access to goods and services without the need for upfront payment. In a market where credit is increasingly accessible, these solutions offer an attractive alternative to using traditional credit cards. However, the growing popularity of these platforms brings with it a significant problem: the lack of complete reporting of debts generated to credit agencies. When consumers use these platforms, they often don't realize that debts acquired through BNPL are not always reported to credit agencies in the same way as traditional loans. This creates a distorted picture of an individual's financial health. As a result, credit scores and financial histories do not accurately reflect the actual debt load a consumer is carrying. This lack of transparency can lead to an inadequate understanding of their true financial obligations. In the absence of complete data, consumers may end up overestimating their ability to pay. The promise of ease and flexibility can be misleading, and without a clear and comprehensive view of all their debts, they may allow themselves to spend more than they can actually afford. This can result in an uncontrolled accumulation of debt with multiple scheduled payments and a total amount that can become overwhelming. The cumulative effect of this is a financial spiral where the debt grows without the consumer having a clear view of how much they actually owe and to whom. A lack of transparency also has implications for consumers' ability to manage their finances effectively. Without a complete view of their financial obligations, it is difficult for them to budget, save, and avoid excessive debt. Furthermore, this lack of clarity can increase the risk of default, where consumers are unable to meet their payments and consequently face serious financial consequences, such as penalties and credit damage. The situation is even more complex when we consider that many of these BNPL platforms operate with different rules and conditions, which can further confuse consumers. Some contracts may include high late fees, additional charges, or penalties that are not immediately evident at the time of purchase. This can lead to unpleasant surprises and additional financial hardship for those who fail to keep track of the terms and conditions and charges associated with each transaction. The phantom debt crisis is therefore not just a problem of lack of transparency, but also a reflection of the rapid changes in the financial market that are challenging consumers' ability to maintain adequate control over their finances. Solving this crisis requires a concerted effort to improve transparency in the BNPL market. Ensure that all debts are fully and accurately reported to credit reporting agencies, and promote greater financial literacy so that consumers can make informed and responsible decisions. Without these changes, the trend of uncontrolled debt accumulation and the deterioration of consumers' financial situation will continue to be a significant challenge. Financial literacy is a growing problem, particularly among millennials and Gen Z, who are increasingly immersed in a complex and often misunderstood financial reality. The concept of financial dysmorphia helps to understand the situation. This term describes a distorted perception of personal finances, where a person's financial reality does not accurately reflect their understanding or feelings about their financial health. For many young adults, their perception of their finances is often influenced by incorrect or incomplete information. With the advent of social media and the proliferation of quick and easy financial advice, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that you're in a good financial situation, even when that may not be true. The influence of financial influencers and market analysis often promotes an optimistic and often unrealistic view of what it means to be financially secure. This phenomenon is exacerbated by the popularity of short-term investments like stocks and cryptocurrencies, which can create a false sense of security. The volatility of these investments can make individuals feel rich or secure for a while, only to face huge losses when the market turns volatile. The excitement of the market can give the impression of quick and easy gains, while the reality can be much more complex and risky than it seems. This distorted perception often results in poor financial decisions. For example, excessive use of credit becomes common practice, as many do not have a clear understanding of how credit works or the implications of accumulating debt. Easy access to credit cards and loans can lead to a cycle of debt, where minimum payments are made while balances continue to grow due to high interest rates. Additionally, a lack of adequate emergency savings is another significant problem. Without solid financial education, many people fail to realize the importance of having an emergency fund and may underestimate the potential impact of unexpected expenses. This leaves many vulnerable to unexpected financial crises, which can have a devastating effect on their financial and emotional stability. Financial dysmorphia can also lead to a lack of long-term planning. Many people may not consider the importance of saving for retirement or future major financial goals, believing that their current investments or financial situation will be enough to ensure a secure future. However, without a thoughtful and informed approach, these dreams can become difficult to achieve, and inadequate planning can lead to financial hardship when they need it most. This disconnect between financial perception and reality is a reflection of the urgent need for more robust and accessible financial education. Understanding the fundamentals of personal finance, from debt management and investing to planning for the future, is essential to making informed and sustainable financial decisions. Improving financial literacy can help address financial dysmorphia by empowering individuals to make more informed decisions and build a solid financial foundation for the future. The housing crisis in the United States is taking on a particularly alarming shape, marked by the growing number of underwater mortgages. This phenomenon, which has become more pronounced after the pandemic, reflects a challenging and complex economic picture that is affecting many families and communities. To begin, it's important to understand what a submerged mortgage means. When the value of a property is less than the mortgage balance, the mortgage is considered submerged. In other words, the homeowner owes the bank more than the property is worth in the current market. This problem has become more acute in several states, especially in areas like Kentucky and West Virginia, where submerged mortgage rates have skyrocketed. The pandemic has brought a number of significant changes to the housing market. Initially, the housing market appeared to be on the mend, driven by a combination of low interest rates and growing demand for housing. However, this ideal scenario began to unravel as house prices rose rapidly in response to pent-up demand and limited supply. Along with this, interest rates also began to rise, creating a perfect storm that exacerbated the underwater mortgage situation. In rural and moderate markets, Where home prices were not initially as inflated, the impact has been particularly severe. Many families who purchased homes during the peak of the market, when prices were higher, now find themselves in a situation where the value of their properties has fallen due to a slowing market or rising inflation and living costs. The combination of these factors has resulted in a significant number of underwater mortgages. One of the main challenges for homeowners in these circumstances is the difficulty in refinancing their mortgages. Refinancing can be a useful strategy to reduce monthly payments and relieve financial pressure, but when the value of the property is less than the mortgage balance, the possibility of refinancing becomes very limited. Banks and financial institutions are less likely to make new loans or restructure debts in such circumstances due to the increased risk associated with these properties. This crisis is not just affecting individual homeowners, but also has broader implications for the economy. The growing presence of underwater mortgages could lead to an increase in foreclosures, which could in turn put further pressure on the housing market and result in a greater supply of homes for sale, pushing prices down and creating a cycle of devaluation. Additionally, increased foreclosures could negatively impact local communities, with neighborhoods facing higher vacancies and reduced economic stability. The current outlook suggests that a more comprehensive approach and robust solutions are needed to address the housing crisis and submerged mortgages. To mitigate these issues, it may be necessary to consider public policies that help stabilize the housing market, such as refinancing incentives, support for struggling homeowners, and strategies to balance supply and demand in the market. Without adequate intervention, the submerged mortgage crisis could continue to worsen, negatively impacting economic recovery and the financial stability of affected households. The concept of the American dream has always been an alluring promise of prosperity and success for those seeking a better life. It symbolized the idea that with hard work and determination, anyone could achieve wealth, own a home, and live a comfortable life. However, the current economic climate suggests that this dream is facing unprecedented challenges, with clear signs that what once seemed like an attainable ideal may be disintegrating. The economic outlook we are witnessing today is troubling. Rising household debt, coupled with dwindling savings and a persistent housing crisis, is creating a perfect storm that could lead to a financial meltdown. Many consumers are saddled with debts they cannot repay, while their savings are insufficient to cushion the negative economic impacts. This situation is further exacerbated by the housing crisis, which is affecting not only property prices, but also people's ability to buy or maintain their homes. The economic bubble we are witnessing could burst at any moment, and when it does, the consequences could be devastating. Rising interest rates and instability in the housing market could lead to a sharp drop in property prices, resulting in widespread poverty. People who have invested their savings in property could see the value of their property plummet, while those struggling to pay their mortgages could face the risk of losing their homes. Furthermore, the growing reliance on the government for financial and social support may increase further as more people find themselves unable to cope with economic hardship. This could lead to increased public spending and a greater burden on the social security system, further complicating the country's fiscal situation. The impact of this scenario could be profound and long-term. The American dream, which promised social mobility and opportunity for all, could turn into a much bleaker reality, with people facing reduced purchasing power and persistent financial hardship. The future could bring an economy that adjusts to this new reality, with a shrinking middle class and a wider divide between the haves and have-nots. This scenario calls for a serious rethink of economic and social policies. Ways must be found to restore financial stability and support those struggling to stay above the poverty line. Financial sector reforms, a more strategic approach to debt management, and a greater focus on building robust social safety nets are essential steps to address the challenges ahead. As we navigate these uncertain waters, it is important to remain hopeful and resilient. The American dream may need to be reimagined and redefined as we face these challenges, but adaptability and creative solutions will be crucial to overcoming this crisis and building a more equitable and sustainable future.